Yes, the Tour de France has just finished, of course, but cycling here in South Australia is big. John Kelly, one of the commentators for cycling here in South Australia, joins us. John, thanks for coming in, mate.
Yeah, g'day guys. Look, thanks for having me on the show.
All right, mate, let's talk about you as a cyclist first. So how did you get attracted as a kid to cycling?
Well, Grandpa had a whole bunch of bikes hanging in the shed and a whole bunch of colourful clothes and helmets. And there were photos of uncles and grandfathers and my grandfather's brothers. And look, I've got even aunts involved in cycling as well, and that was kind of the draw to it. Do you think I could ride that bike, Grandpa? You know, when would I fit on that bike, Grandpa? And I badgered him until he found a bike for me, and I think they hung me on the clothesline upside down with some bricks to stretch until I finally fitted on a bike that was way too big for me, and that's how I started as a kid. So yeah, today, of course,
a little bit different. Yeah, today, how do they start?
Well, my girls have come through in the sport of cycling as well, so that makes up 5 generations in my family in the sport of cycling. So
not all from the Central Districts Cycling Club?
Not all. Well, I'm going to say most of it. Okay, our family is. Look, if you can ask me who my favourite club is, I'll keep talking about Centrals. There are a lot of great clubs in Adelaide, and maybe we can touch base about some of those as well. But a long history with Central District Cycling Club.
You'd get, given that history, you'd get a lot of satisfaction seeing the sport, especially in this state, grow over the last decade or two under the guidance, I guess, of Mike Turter and the Tour Down Under.
Oh, look, that's where it really started. You know, Mike Turter was actually my brother's coach when he was in the South Australian Sports Institute as well. You know, and Mike Turter, it's amazing, isn't it? You know, he was a track champion for Australia, an Olympian, and now he's at the forefront of road cycling in Australia with the Tour Down Under, and of course bringing the Santos Women's Tour Down Under here to Adelaide as well. But I mean, those guys have had a major influence on that, and in terms of track racing, like Chris Turter and Mike Turter ran the Adelaide Superdrome, and they were the guys that basically got this thing off the ground and a world-class complex built in Adelaide.
Have you seen the benefit of that sort of promotion of the sport at a local level? I mean, when the Tour Down Under comes, we all know because there's 5,000 fat blokes wearing lycra riding all over the state. You know, that's great. They're out there having a go, and that's what it's all about: getting people on the bikes.
Yeah, look, I've traded my lycra. Tuck my jacket around a little bit there, but it really does have an amazing effect on bringing young, excited juniors to the sport of cycling, especially when they run events like the family rides associated with the Tour Down Under, and in amongst the People's Choice classic stage in the heart of the city. They also conduct a family bike ride as well, and the mini tour. It's just sensational. And then from that, we find that we see kids that are getting really excited, and perhaps they ask mum and dad, how could I get started with cycling from there? And we've seen a great influx of juniors most recently and over the last 2 seasons.
You know, Phil, I've just noticed myself, being surrounded by the Tour Down Under here in South Australia, I've actually taken more interest in things like the Tour de France, whereas it was something that happened overseas and you really didn't feel any connection. Being around the Tour Down Under has given me a better connection with the sport and a better understanding of it.
Oh, spot on. And then especially when you start to see Australian names and then local Australian names, and you think about Damien Howson, now he's just raced and finished his very first Tour de France. Central District Cycling Club member, I've got to add that one as well. And he's just raced and finished his first Tour de France. You know, look at Matthews there, he won the green jersey. Okay, he started as 14. He was on a BMX bike when he first started. And, he's developed into an amazing, talented international rider. And this amazing thing about cycling today is that these kids can come along and to a come and try session, and then within a few years they can end up wearing green and gold for Australia. TJ Anguiswaite was one of the young sprint guns for Australia, and gold medalled for Australia in team sprint, and he came to come and try on a Friday night and started his career that way.
Oh, and you have the school series too, don't you? Have the South Australian Cycling School Series that started now. Is that drawing a lot of kids as well?
That is fantastic. It's coming along to its 3rd evolution of that now. Susan Bassett Cycling South Australia and the South Australian Sports Institute, they've been great in getting this off the ground, and it's amazing how many brand new faces. Now, not all of them will go on to mainstream racing. Some of them will just stay with that series. They just love the camaraderie of hanging out with the kids. It's a really social event, cycling. The kids get to hang out together, and especially in those short street circuits like at Victoria Park or at the Adelaide Superdrome, because they get to sit around and have a bit of a chat with their friends and stuff like that. But we have seen numbers 40, 50, 60, 70 kids coming to the sport of cycling through that series It's amazing stuff.
All right, we've got a great facility here. There's no question the Superdrome is exceptional.
Geez, it was ahead of its time, though. I mean, we've had that out there for a couple of decades now.
A couple of big events coming.
Absolutely. Look, the big events locally, of course, we've got in the Cycling South Australia School Series, they've got a 4-round track series coming up. That starts off on the 29th. Continuing with local racing, of course, Kilkenny Cycling Club have got round 5 on August 5 of the Winter Track Series. But on, I guess, a national and heading towards international level, International Track Series and the Big GP that's happening over in Melbourne kicks off tomorrow, I think, from memory.
Okay.
And there's some amazing, talented riders that have come out of school series type events here in South Australia that are now racing internationally and will wear green and gold for Australia in the up-and-coming Junior Worlds as under-19s.
You know, John, one of the things that has changed a lot over perhaps the start of the Tour Down Under is we see the bike lanes.
Yes.
You know, a lot more focus on the cyclist being able to, you know, to ride, you know, to get off the road or on the road, but at least somewhere to ride. Is that grown astronomically since you started bike? You know,
it has.
Riding on the road?
It's been amazing. I think of when I rode as a kid, we didn't have mobile phones. We had 30 cents taped to the underside of the seat, a spare tube, no water bottle. You'd pinch an apple off a tree on the way past or a drink of water.
Those were the days.
Tap, right?
Oh, I used to ride down Anzac Highway to work. It was terrifying.
Oh,
you know, with cars
we had no
and stuff.
helmets. You didn't have to
that's
wear them
right.
back then. To today, and you know, there's a lot of terrific safety features that have come about, especially in the city of Adelaide. Bike SA, I mean, those guys are instrumental in bringing rider safe programs to South Australia, and as Christian out there, he's a good guy to catch up with as well. But bike lanes, bike safety, helmets, brilliant stuff.
Mate, we just saw Chris Froome win it for the 4th time, or his 4th Tour Down Under. Would he be the greatest British male cyclist they've ever had?
I don't know, he is this week anyway.
He will be this week.
I tell you what, who I do like in the Tour de France, though, I must say this one, the women's tour.
Yes.
Often the men's Tour de France gets the big headlines. The women's tour, La Course, you know, Annemiek van Vleuten, it's not a very Australian name, but she races for the Orica Scott Australian cycling team.
Okay.
And a local lad, Jean Bates, is the team manager for that one from Adelaide and South Australia. How about that?
Wow. You know,
Best South Australian cyclists? Best South Australian cyclists?
Gosh,
Or
there
a couple.
are
Is there a
so
couple?
many. There are so many. I mean,
Give me
at the
5.
moment, I really like Damien Housen at the moment.
Yep.
But I mean, if you think about in the girls, there are so many girls that are out there as well. Annette Edmondson, she's making big headlines at the moment.
Well, she was pushing Enemies last time I heard, wasn't she?
Oh, look, she's a great Omnium rider, and she had the World of Track all sewn up for quite some time there, and she's traded that in for a life as a professional women's cyclist.
Yes.
She's out there on the road as well. So,
John, appreciate you coming in.
Good on you, mate. Well done.
Terrific to catch up with cycling and try not to get a vision of Poppy in a Lycra.
Yeah,
Listening
that's
to
right.
the show. Stay with
Thanks,
us.
guys.
Still, a bit more to come on the show.